right, I'm Eric Kane.
And I'm Paul Tassi.
And we're back with the Walking Dead podcast, expertly named the Walking Dead podcast. It's been a few weeks. I've been on vacation, and now I'm back, suffering from jet lag still, but refreshed and ready to talk some shit about the Walking Dead. Just kidding. We're not really going to talk shit. It's been really good.
It has been really good. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote yesterday that I would declare all 8 episodes at least pretty good to really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's ups and downs, but the downs have like been nowhere near the downs of the past 2 seasons. So it's just like, that was slightly boring. Like that's like the worst criticism you can kind of amount.
I would say, like, in the very first up in the season premiere, there was a couple really dumb things, like typical Walking Dead dumb things, like the museum scene where they tried to carry stuff over that glass. Yeah. That was stupid. And then where the blacksmith's son gets killed, when it was just, it's like, oh, let's introduce you to a new character and have him get killed right away in kind of a ridiculous manner. There was a few zombies they could have, that was pretty. So like it got off to kind of a rocky start. It was still a pretty good episode. But then after that, I can't really pinpoint any really like typical Walking Dead stupid crap stuff.
Yeah, it is not on the level that we're kind of used to at this point, which is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, more like on the level of like how it used to be. Like even in the show's heyday, even in the very best episodes and the very best seasons, characters still would do things where you're like, wait, what? No, that's ridiculous. They always have done this with this show. It's never been. See, when people are like, oh, it's not as good as it was in season 5 or whatever. Well, I mean, season 5 had a lot of problems still. It had problems
over some things.
Rosy tinted glass. Right, because I mean, think back on season 5. There was a lot of like, we're going to do an episode with just Daryl and Beth, and now we're going to do an episode with just and there was a lot of sort of splitting up of the characters, and there were if you go back and watch it, you'll see a lot of things that were kind of a little off. Whereas I'd say that season 9 has been very strong across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the strongest since season 5, 6. Like honestly, like there are aspects of it just in terms of like consistency of quality. I think you could argue that it's better in a lot of ways than even the Prime, which is kind of crazy to say, but I think that's where we're at.
I think it's maybe like just in terms. I don't know if we've ever seen 8 episodes in a row that we could qualify as good.
I would agree with that.
I mean,
I'd have to really go back and probably watch like season 4, 5, 6. But I think you're probably right. Like in there had to have been one where it was like, okay, that was really bad. Because that's just what happens, and that's what usually happens with most shows. But
definitely, and like season 6, I think definitely wasn't as good as this, because season 6, well, it had some good moments. Also had, I remember writing about season 6 because there was that great attack by the wolves. And in the next episode, I remember they didn't even talk about it. Like no one was talking about what just happened. It was so weird. And that was kind of the start of these weird, like episodes where you wouldn't see like 90% of the main actors, it would be like Rick and then all the Alexandrians who you didn't give a crap about,
Yeah.
And that's what they started doing. So there was, I would say in season 6, there was already this major downturn in quality.
It's interesting you mentioned the wolves, because if we're transitioning into tonight, like I see kind of a lot of parallels between sort of the introduction of the wolves and the introduction of the Whispers, and like the type of villain they are, where they're just like flat out batshit crazy. And like, the Whisperers aren't quite as crazy as you may think they initially are, but they are wearing walker skins and stabbing people. So that's kind of nuts. But it's like this kind of looming threat that is just sort of out there. And then, all these like warning signs and like people spying on them. But then the difference is that the wolves plotline just dropped. Like they had like one wolf attack and then it was over. And it's like, okay, was that it? Was there like 8 of them? That was the whole thing. Whereas the Whispers is like kind of just getting started. And I think it could kind of be a more full realization of the potential of the wolves plotline that was sort of aborted in favor of just a bunch of comic Alexandria stuff and then setting up Negan.
Yeah, no, I really think this has been done much better. I mean, this has been really genuinely scary to see these, these talking zombies appear, and It's just shot so well
The
too, you know, like,
Yeah, the dodge,
oh
the sword
God,
dodge and stab is arguably the best villain introduction in this show's history, like
it
by
was
far.
awesome. I mean, it
It
was
was so cool, and
terrible,
like
but
even
it
though
was
that
awesome.
specific like person is already dead, like they just killed him, but it's like the premise, and I mean you and I knew what was coming, but I would imagine a lot of people watched that and were just like, oh my god,
Oh yeah.
because I if I didn't know, I would not have expected that at all, and even that moment, even knowing what the whispers were, I didn't really expect that exact thing to happen in that way. So that was really cool. The filming was, I like the filming. I'd say 80% of the time. 20% of the time, it felt a little like Michael Jackson Thriller video,
Oh yeah.
where it's like the lighting and the graveyard, and like it was like maybe a touch over the top, but generally, I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Um,
definitely like a horror movie, like in the, you know, you're in the cemetery with the fog and everything. But I
yeah, it was
like
almost
it. I
like
like
too
it.
much of a horror movie for a little bit, but I think it was more good than that.
You know, I'd rather have the show go that direction than, you know, like season 8 gunfights, just boring, uninteresting, you know, not creative at all. Like at least there's something, they're trying new things, you know, like at
Yeah.
least they're trying like a graveyard scene with creepy fog. You know, it may be a little over the top, but it's just so much more alive. It just feels like the show has so much new energy. And like I would say like one of the best moments in the episode and the mid-season finale was just right at the beginning when Jesus and Aaron and Daryl are looking at that herd just swirling about, just milling about in circles so strangely. And then as they go away, that one walker kind of looks up to the side.
Hmm.
It's just a great shot, you know, like it's just so different than it's been in the last few seasons, you know. It's different than it's ever been though. I don't think that the show has really ever kind of had this look and feel to it, you know?
No, I agree. And one of my main complaints on the comic storyline is that this war with the Whispers feels a little too similar to the war with Negan, but the way it's translating to the screen just feels so much
Mm.
different. Where I'm hopeful that this is just going to have, even if it's like a similar sort of storyline where it's like community versus community, that I'm hopeful that just at least the way it's shot and filmed and written is going to feel just way different than the Negan War, even if it's sort of a similar,
Right.
execution and setup, which I'm really looking forward to, because I wasn't the biggest fan of this comic storyline. I think there's some good elements to it, but with the quality of the show the way it is now, I am very much looking forward to seeing what they do with it. And I mean, they're off to a great start with it, clearly.
Yeah. Well, in terms of, you know, Jesus dying, that was out of left field for sure.
Yeah,
Just his
yeah, and like
death.
I was still trying to debate whether or not he was fully dead, but I mean, between Talking Dead and like the scenes, like he's dead. It's
Yeah.
just, and like it wasn't really, I guess, supposed to be a cliffhanger. It just seemed to me like, okay, maybe like he's on the ground with his eyes closed. Like I get that he was stabbed pretty bad, but people have survived worse,
Yeah.
like Rick was just literally impaled and like pulled himself off of being, like, I'm sure Jesus's injury wasn't any worse than Rick's injury was,
Right.
and he
Unless they got the
lived.
spine, you know.
But it does seem to me like he's probably dead, which is, it's interesting because A, that's a comic character who does not die
Hmm.
ever, so far, and B, that at this point in time in the show, which is unlike the comic, he's the leader of the Hilltop. So this new group has already assassinated the leader of one of the three communities, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And that I'm not going to go deep into comic spoilers in this podcast, but like suffice to say, there's some other major deaths that are supposed to happen. And what I'm wondering now is if they sacrifice Jesus now, if other people might potentially be saved.
Wait. You're saying that Jesus died to save these other people?
Yes, I made this pun very many times in my article.
Oh boy. Yeah, you know what? And here's the thing that's kind of bumming me out. I was really liking Jesus again. I'd come back into
Yeah.
the fold, as it were. I think the last two seasons it just really had poisoned my views on a lot of characters. I remember writing very critically of the acting of Tom Paine and Ross Marquand about Jesus and Aaron,
Mhm.
because I just felt like there was so many bad, like flat deliveries, and I just think that maybe even the actors have kind of turned a corner with this season, Like
Oh
everyone's
yeah, I
giving more
mean,
heart into it. They're better directed, they're better written, and they're better acted. Same actors.
Norman Reedus is like hardcore cheerleading this season. Like every week, he's like, "Oh, I can't wait for tonight's episode!" Like, bye. And he's like, never. I've never seen him like this ever on
That's
Twitter.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to see. It's kind of a weird situation because because the show's so much better now, and because it's handling pretty much all its characters better. Like these days, there really aren't characters that you're kind of actively rooting for to die. Like, there's always been kind of a slate of like 4 or 5 annoying characters. You're like, oh, kill them off. Like, we don't care.
Yeah,
But
like
now
please
it's like when
take
you like
Eugene
when you like
instead.
everyone. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like when you like everyone now, it's going to be harder to lose
Hmm.
people. And I think this is kind of a core problem with The Walking Dead, where it just the nature of the show sort of makes it feel mandatory that they just have to keep killing people every 6 to 8 episodes because that's just like how things go. And it's kind of a bummer to me. And like I wish they could just kind of ease off that, but like I get that it's like a dangerous show and this is supposed to happen, but it is just kind of a bummer when like, oh, like, hey, like finally Jesus is being developed into a good character, and then it's like, well, he's dead.
Yep. And
And like
like
now we like Aaron, and like, oh, is Aaron gonna die in 6 more episodes? Like, who knows? Like,
yeah, now I'm
it gets
like
a little exhausting.
I was really rooting for those two as like just developing like a cool friendship. I know that people were trying to ship them as a couple, which I thought was, like just because
Well,
they're the only gay guys doesn't mean they have to be a
they
couple.
also do end up as a couple in the
Do they?
comics.
Okay, well, I don't know that, but I mean,
Yeah,
they had more chemistry, I think, than Aaron and his previous husband, who was just such a side character that it hard,
yeah,
honestly, the death of Jesus, Aaron displayed more real emotion than the death of his husband. So, and again, I think that comes down to directing,
yeah.
writing, all
Better
that.
writing, better directing.
Um,
Yeah,
when Jesus died, when he decided to stay back, it was like, no, don't
yeah,
stay back. That's
yeah.
stupid. Don't do that. I thought maybe he would like see one of them pull a sword out or something, and then, but really, I didn't expect the duck and the
That's, I
duck.
mean,
That
so
was
in
so
the comics,
crazy.
literally, that's what happens. Like the guy pulls a knife and like tries to stab him, and he's like, "Whoa, what the hell?" But he defends against it, and then he goes to report back like what
Yeah,
happened essentially. But so that's why I was like, "Oh, wow, no, what's happening?"
yeah, that was just crazy.
Yeah,
And I think it's going to be an important death that actually means something and affects everybody, and I think that's good. I mean, unlike Carl's death, for instance, which was
yeah.
just so
That's the thing
pointless.
is like with this, it's like I am sad that Jesus died, but I'm not mad at the show the way I have been with so many of these past deaths, where it's like every time they were killing off some new character, I'm like, oh my god, you guys like stop, like this was so dumb and unnecessary. But like
Yeah.
this didn't like feel that way. Like I'm like the right amount of sad. I'm like the amount of sad that they and angry that they want me to be, where I'm
Hmm.
just like mad at the whisperers. I'm not mad at like Scott Gimple,
Right.
which has not been the case for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like before this, I mean, we've just had so many poorly handled deaths. Like for a while, like Carl's death, obviously Sasha's death was really stupid.
Hmm.
Like even going all the way back to the Glenn and Abraham thing, like
Hmm.
even if that was from the source material and sort of Negan had to kill someone, even the way that was handled was still just never felt good.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
don't know.
trying to
Maybe
like
we're getting more on the right track.
the last like really, I don't know. I mean, was it all the way back to like what's his face, the black guy who died in the turnstile? No,
Tyrese had a
no,
good
not Tyrese.
death.
More recent than
Oh,
that.
Bob,
No, more recent than that.
Noah.
Noah. Yeah, lots of
Noah's
black
death was
guys. Oh my
really
god.
good.
I remember when I used to write all the time about how if you were a black guy on The Walking Dead, count your days because it would,
Yeah.
it would just rattling off.
It was a meme for a while, which was unfortunate. And then eventually we got Morgan back, and I mean, I guess he
Yeah,
left. But then we have Ezekiel, and
yeah,
so that's changed a little bit, thankfully. But yeah, that was ridiculous for a while.
ridiculous. But that was a good death, because he got stuck in there, and it was kind of like, I don't know. It felt like, well, it felt crappy because he hadn't been around all that long, but also like there was a reason why he died, and it was horrible to see, and you were affected by it. I just feel like there hasn't been really a good death in season 7 or 8. I just can't think of one good
No,
like death where you're like, dang,
I
I feel
don't think
bad. Like,
so. I'm really trying to think. Like Spencer died. Negan killed Spencer. That was he just like gutted him just to be an example. I don't
I
even.
didn't even, no one
There
likes
weren't that
Spencer.
many people that died in
Yeah,
the
it's
Negan
weird,
War.
right? It's
Like
weird.
Simon died, but I was just kind of sad about that because I liked Simon.
Yeah.
um, you know what's funny is like a tangent that I think they just like wrote off Dwight forever,
Yeah.
like,
It's weird,
which
right?
is kind of interesting. And like I think they're just gonna make Daryl do all the Dwight stuff from the comics, which I think is a great decision because
Yeah.
I was not the biggest Dwight fan. He got a little better at the end, but he's kind of serving the same role as Dwight, and it just I don't know. He
Well,
may be back eventually because like this show rarely just ghosts people unless they have a very specific plan, like with Rick or Maggie. But
here's
so
something
I
though.
yeah, we'll see.
Heath. They have said now that Heath disappeared because of the helicopter people. They have said that
Yes,
officially.
yes.
And so I will say that maybe Dwight also got taken by the helicopter people, and that just any character that goes missing now
It's
got
just
taken by the
helicopter
helicopter
people.
people. And they're either
I'm gonna
A's or
call
B's.
BS on the Heath thing. I think that was a. I
Well,
mean,
sure, it
I'm
was
sure
BS.
it's canon now, but like that was definitely like a fix they wrote in later.
Definitely. Here's a question for you. Did they kill off Carl to get a boost in ratings, or did they kill off Carl because they were already eyeing Henry as taking over his role and they were dissatisfied with Chandler Riggs?
There had to have been some sort of like behind the scenes drama with Chandler Riggs, like whereas they just didn't like his acting enough for him to be in that role, or there was like some contract issue. There had like it just doesn't make sense like what happened.
Right. It doesn't.
And I heard that The Walking Dead asked him to be in Andrew Lincoln's last episode, and he said no.
Oh, I see.
um,
I figured something like that had happened with him,
yeah,
and I bet they might have even asked some. They should have had. They should have had somebody other than Sasha. It's nothing against Sasha. It's just
well, I heard they asked both Glenn and Carl, and both of them said no.
yeah. Well, then they should have had like what did they ask the woman who played Lori? I guess that would have been weird. They should have just had him talking to
Yeah,
himself, or like had like
yeah, I don't
multiple
know.
characters in that scene, like various ones stand up instead of just Sasha. Like I don't know.
Yeah, or
Tyrese,
Abraham. I feel like
Abraham.
Abraham would have been better. Yeah,
He would have because he's come back to direct.
yeah, and yeah, so he clearly would have done
And
it.
that would have
But
been much better than. I mean, again,
yeah, I
nothing
don't know.
against
Like
Sasha. It's
I
just
am like the stuff I'm upset about with this season. It's like I can't really blame it on like Angela Kang because it's set up ahead of time. But like I am not super pleased that they're giving Henry all the Carl stuff and like now he's gonna have this relationship with like this Whisperers person and like they're just giving him all of his storylines and it's like if you were gonna do that, why didn't you just keep him?
yeah.
And just make things go the way they're supposed
Well,
to
that's
go.
why
Like,
I'm
it doesn't
asking
make any
that
sense.
because I think it must have been that they didn't have faith in him as an actor. That's the only thing I can
I
think
get and
of.
like I don't know. Like I think the new Henry is fine. Like I don't really have a problem with him, and I think he was acting better than his
Oh
little
yeah.
brother was, his younger Henry. And I find him less annoying, but it just seems extraneous. And like every time I look at him, I'm like, you should be Carl, and
Well,
it's a bummer
yeah.
that you're not Carl. But
Certainly, they could have squeezed more out of the death of Rick, or the quote unquote death of Rick, if Carl was still around and if his character was going through all of this. I guess I don't know what they would have done, and well, it would have worked with a 6-year time jump because Riggs was already outgrowing Carl, basically.
yeah, I mean, he
You
would have been
know,
a little older, I guess, than he was supposed to be. Like because Riggs was, I mean, 17, probably 18, or that was Carl's age, I guess, on the show. I don't know how old Chandler Riggs is. I think he's like 20.
yeah.
So then if there's like a 6.5 year time jump, he would have been like 24, 25. Oh, can we talk about how hilarious it was that Enid is dating, what's his face?
Alden.
Alden. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just laughed at that. That was so funny.
I mean, it's not as weird as Rosita and Gabriel. I'm just gonna say
No, it's
that.
not. I'm like, oh, well, she's like probably like mid 20s now, and he's probably like 30 something.
Yeah, it
So I don't know.
works.
I guess that's fine.
I mean, in the apocalypse, you gotta bend the.
Yeah,
I mean, people
gotta
do
make
that
do.
anyways. I don't know. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't really understand like dating someone that's like 10 or 12 years younger than you because you have nothing to talk
Yes.
about. But
Little much, but
I mean, I guess in the
I guess you have more
apocalypse,
to
yeah,
talk about.
exactly. You're not.
Yeah.
It's not like Enid's
Have a
like
lot more
in
common
college.
interests there, like staying alive.
Enid's been much better this season. Also, I mean, most people, even Tara.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen even like Tara's better. Like we haven't seen a ton from a couple characters because we avoided the hilltop for like a couple episodes. But yeah, there are very few characters where I'm just like, oh no, like ugh, it's so annoying.
Well,
Like I don't really feel like that about anyone. Like even people that used to be annoying, like Father Gabriel is getting a ton of screen time now. Like he's becoming a pretty major player, which is unusual.
except for he's
Um,
freaking Negan now.
Yeah.
God, what are they going to do?
Yeah, so escaped Negan is now we have to figure out what he's going to do. And I know where it's going in the comics, but like I have no idea if they're going to stick with that or not.
Well,
Um,
in the preview for the next half of the season, they show him with his bat in the sanctuary.
was it his actual bat? I thought it was like a pipe or something,
It's
but I
hard to tell
should
from
rewatch
that.
it.
I mean, it's with something that's like his bat, so
Yeah.
it's maybe Lucille 2.0. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's pretty important in the Whisper conflict, so and it requires him not being in jail for a lot of it. So
So he had to get out. Well, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if they'll put him back in or anything, but I mean, by the end, he's not going to stay in jail for the next like 3 years. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Well, that would be a weird. I mean,
Yeah,
it'd just be weird to have him in jail the whole time.
yeah.
It'd be better just to kill him off at that point. But
I mean, the whole preview scenes, man, when you saw Beta, Ryan Hurst from Sons of Anarchy with the giant dude with the long hair and beard, who's always wearing a walker skin, he never takes it off. um, and like he just looked terrifying, and you just see him like manhandle. I think it was Daryl.
it's good catch.
In one of the scenes, I'm like, oh my god, that looks so cool.
Yeah,
And
I'm
this is what I
excited.
mean about like I think there's a way to make this better than it was in the comics. I think you saw Lydia, who's like the daughter of the Whispers, and she's supposed to be like this like really cute blonde girl, and here she's like this kind of scary brunette girl, which is probably better. um, which I find interesting. So I'm very curious to see where this is going and how they translate stuff from the comics.
So in terms of like characters, I agree that most of them are not as annoying as they were. I am currently in hot water on Twitter with people over Michonne because I wrote an article just saying like I don't like where they're taking her character. I just don't buy it. I don't think they've earned it. Yes, there's been
Mm-hmm.
a time jump, but something has happened other than Rick dying that has made her this way. We see the X's on Daryl and her backs. They both seem more traumatized than anybody else. There's some bad blood with Maggie that hasn't been fully explained. The communities have been riven from one another. But the problem I'm having is that Michonne has been through so much tragedy and hardship already, and they had her character growing from all of that. And now it seems like they've just had her character revert back to a more isolated. It just doesn't work for me. How they and maybe they'll be able to explain it, but it's like, how do they explain something so bad that she's closed off from everybody else? And I just don't like
Yeah,
if
I
they,
mean, my counterpoint to that would be we have already seen her thought a little bit. Like she's not. I mean, she's kind of done being overtly hostile to the new people. Like, I
yeah.
mean, she gave them their weapons back and is like at least trying to help them, even if she's not letting them stay at Alexandria. So like we are seeing her warm a little bit. And then I'll say like, I mean, we don't know exactly what happened in this interim with the communities and the X's, and like I don't know if those two things are linked. I would kind of imagine they would be somehow.
Yeah.
And but like I guess the difference there was in terms of her growth before is that she had all these like people around her embracing her, but this whatever tragedy happened would be right after she lost Rick and Carl presumably, so she didn't have as robust of kind of a support system as she did. And like even in the earlier season she had Andrea for a while, and like Andrea was like her buddy and like helped her grow.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people in Alexandria who,
There are, but they're also clearly pretty fractured, and like they're not. I mean, her core like group of friends is pretty spread out. I mean, who is in Alexandria really? That's like part of the core group still. Most of them are in the other communities. Like Carol and Ezekiel are the other one, are in the kingdom, and then like Tara, Jesus, Maggie were all out. Daryl was in the woods. Like I feel like she doesn't really have any close
but these are all
friends.
people
I don't
that,
know.
I mean, you have to think that before the time jump, maybe, I mean, how many years do we think passed? 4 or 5 years?
I think it's 6. I think it's officially 6.
No,
The
before
second time jump was 6. Yeah.
but before the time jump, how many years took place from the beginning of the show till episode?
Total? I don't know. We're approaching at least a decade, maybe like 11, 12 years.
But no, before the time jump. So like five
Oh,
years.
to that point? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
probably like 5 years.
Okay, so now another 6 years have passed. So like the same amount of time or more has passed between when the time jump occurred than the whole show before that, which means that there's been plenty of time for her to form other relationships. It's not like that those this like you don't just stop forming relationships.
Well, you might if you don't have anyone encouraging you to, like Rick kind of encouraged her to, or Andrea encouraged her to, and like kind
Well,
of because again, like everyone in Alexandria is kind of like the hodgepodge of like random survivors who we don't really know
We don't know
the
them,
names of for the
but
most part.
she has known Sadiq for longer than she knew Rick at this.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
this is where I'm having, and she's known Aaron much longer at this point than she knew Rick or Glenn or any of those people, right? So from my problem is that without giving us anything, we are just sort of supposed to accept this vast change in her character. Whereas, like with Daryl, he's like living in the woods, right? Not only is that in keeping with what we know about Daryl, he isolates himself, and he's always done that. And he's doing it more drastically now. But they've also had the conversation with Carol where they talk about him looking for Rick, like he's out in the woods looking for Rick, and now he's just not coming back. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was. So they give us some clues as to what's going on with him, but they barely. I mean, they just like tiptoe around it in such an annoying way with Michonne. You know what happened? They say, they keep on mentioning like this thing that happened, but they never say it, and that just feels so gimmicky to me. It's like I think I'm just traumatized by all the gimmicks that this show has pulled in the past. I just want.
Yeah.
I like the mystery, but I want those breadcrumbs to keep leading somewhere at the very least, rather than just like, all right, we're just going to keep on talking around the elephant in the room. Really, every conversation with Sadiq and her, like about something that happened, but we're not going to say it.
I guess I'm interested enough in that mystery to like forgive the current state of her, like because I just want to know what happened, and like I am curious to see how they're going to resolve this because like they have to like go forward with this Whisperer plot line, but we're also good. I mean, you would have to imagine they're going to have at least an episode or two of just
Yeah,
flashbacks to explain what the hell happened, and like I wonder if they're planning some like secret like, oh, this summer there's going to be a Walking Dead movie that like shows what happened during those 6 years or something, like, you know what I mean,
I hope not.
like some secret thing they filmed, because like that's the kind of crap they'd pull nowadays with what they're doing with Rick. So I don't know, maybe they'll just explain it on the show normally, but
Yeah,
I am this is pretty unexpected because I have genuinely no idea what happened or what could have happened, or because this is nothing that I can see from the comics, so I'm
and there's the other problem.
genuinely clueless.
Here's the other problem. They are building this up in such a big way that like something has to have happened that is more traumatizing to Michonne and to the communities than like anything that's happened before.
Yeah, the entire
Right.
Negan war.
The entire Negan War and everything that came before it, because literally they are isolating each other from old friends. I mean, Michonne is choosing not to see or hear about or know about either the Kingdom or Hilltop. And like, okay, if it's bad blood with Maggie for some reason, fine, but like it's got to be pretty bad, right? So they
So okay, the things we know so far is like Michonne had to make some sort of like very unpopular, isolating decision to like save people. We know this has, I think, something to do with like letting someone new into the community that turned on them somehow. I don't know if it was a big group or an individual or whatever. I have to imagine it was a group if they were able to like pull one over on Daryl and Michonne at least.
yeah.
And like, so like we have the bones of this in place. It's just like filling in the gaps. And like, yeah, I wonder what they can come up with that isn't going to be like kind of disappointing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's,
And like, how do you tell a story like that in like like a whole story like that to span like 6 years of drama in like an episode and a half? Like that seems like, I'm sure we're gonna get some episode called like "What Happened" or something cryptic like that. But like, I just don't know how you tell a story that's supposed to be that significant in that short of a window. So it's an interesting decision. I don't know if it's going to pan out yet, but it has gotten me interested, to say the least.
yeah, I mean, I guess I have a lot more faith in this show now, so some of my fears might be overblown. But then again, like we've seen, I think I'm still a little shaky after where Fear the Walking Dead went. And I know those are different people working on it, but they had
Yeah.
season 3 and then it just went right back downhill. And it's like, is it sustainable? I mean, I have a lot more faith in The Walking Dead because it is their core show and they've really turned it around. I don't think they're going to let it go back the way it was anytime soon. But boy, they're really asking a lot for me to believe that Michonne has changed this drastically. And after she was already through so much trauma before this, so
It's also jarring because it happened it happened like from week to week. It was like, it wasn't like the show was off for a season and we come back and it's 6 years later. It's like that jump happened
mhm.
in the middle of a season, so it was like especially weird to like understand everyone's relationships and where they were at. and then like flip a switch and suddenly like half the people hate each other, half the people haven't seen each other in years but are still friends kind of. Like it's I don't know. It was a little weird to try and parse all that out
Mm-hmm.
just that suddenly, with kind of no breathing room at all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Michonne, it just you see this, and maybe that's the other thing. She had developed into a character who was working on this charter, working on building this society. Was very committed to whatever Carl's stupid vision that he never actually had. Morgan's vision is what it really was, but um, and then the next episode she's totally different, and it just brings back memories of like Carol being this tough, like show no mercy, like I'm the Rambo lady, and then the next episode she's like crying for no reason and like can't kill anybody. It's
Yeah.
these character changes are often in the past unearned on this show, and so hopefully this time they earn it. I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, it's just a weird way to set it up.
Other
But
than that, this has been a great. The season finale was great. I wish Jesus hadn't died, but um, I thought it was very. I love how it's frightening again. And there's tension, and now I'm sitting there watching with my girlfriend, and we're watching the episode, and we're both like on the edge of our seats again. Like, holy
yeah.
crap, they're coming! Like, get away! We're hoping that the characters get away, and like that. It's the last 2 seasons. It's been more like we watch it and we kind of laugh at it because it's just so pathetic.
Yeah, and it's hard to remember when the last time walkers themselves felt like a true threat, but that's something that this episode did really well. Like even if they are being herded by people in walker suits, it's still making them kind of scary again because they can be wielded as a weapon. Where I mean, I just liked all the scenes where they tried to do all their usual tricks to like distract them, and just nothing worked. And like that alone was like probably the most terrifying part of the episode, where like you just watch Daryl and his barking dog and just like see the herd shift away and just totally ignore him.
Or like when they find Eugene and he's like, "We have to go." They keep circling by, and everyone kind of looks at him like he's
Yeah,
crazy.
everyone's like, "What? What are you talking
Man,
about?"
we'll get you home. You
Yeah,
quiet down now, and then boom, they're back. It's so great. Like there's just I was really excited throughout the episode. Um, and honestly, even this criticism I've had of how they're writing Michonne, it was even in that episode was it was better, because that my
yeah,
article came out before that episode aired, and some people have criticized me based on things in that episode, but their timeline is off. So,
yeah.
uh, so it comes back in February. We've got a few weeks of waiting to do. Any other shows on the horizon for you?
In the winter, I'm not even sure. I feel like everything's going to go on break. I probably have some stuff to catch up on. I might watch like half the Arrowverse seasons that have already aired
Good
because
luck.
I haven't at all. But or I might just wait till they go on Netflix at the end of the spring. But
Yeah, that's easier because
I got to do game stuff. Like there's just been so many games. Like the Red Dead beta is starting. There's new Destiny stuff coming.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna like play a little more Fallout 76 once they patch things. See if that game can be saved. So like I'm pretty busy with just game stuff lately.
No, I hear you there. I've been playing Battlefield 5, and
I forgot that even came like yeah, that's like so not on my radar because I have so many other things.
the single player stuff is actually really good. I
That's
really
good.
I really enjoyed this. There's only three missions out, or three vignettes out so far, but they are each one of them I liked quite a bit.
Oh, there's like they're doing timed release on that too.
Yeah. December 4th is when the next one comes out, and then
I don't understand the release
I
strategy for this. I can't imagine the sales are going to be good
no.
for that game based on this how this is rolled out. Like I cannot tell you when this game actually came out or is coming out.
Out
Like
at like 3 different dates,
yeah,
poorly marketed. I wrote a whole piece about that, which I think they're trying too hard to market it to the wrong audience, and then they with these bizarre release date schedules. Like, I just think that they need to like.
it,
I hate to say it, but they need to fall back a little bit on like what made this series appealing to people, and they're not doing that. So
it's like games of service, but only because they didn't finish things.
right.
They're like, oh no, it's a content release plan, where it's like they delayed their
It's all
battle
free.
royale mode to like spring or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just bizarre. I am so far behind in Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, I went this, I left for vacation, and I didn't play any games on vacation.
Yeah, me too.
It's such a daunting game, I guess, because
Yeah.
boy, it's
I don't even want to jump back into Red Dead Online because I'm like, I just finished all this cowboy stuff, and that was like,
yeah,
it was fun, but it was exhausting, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back yet.
yeah.
And now it's going to be like grinding stagecoach robberies for gold and money and stuff, and like all the. I'm hoping it's not the kind of stuff I hated in GTA Online, but
Mm.
it's probably going to be exactly like GTA Online because that made so much money.
Yeah, I don't know what to. I mean, I'm glad that the beta is coming out so that we can give it a spin. I need to
Yeah.
look up those times because I haven't even looked at that yet. But in terms of shows for me, Vikings comes back. So
Oh, nice.
I,
I'm still like at least a season behind on that.
yeah, the last season was pretty bad. I really didn't like it, and I wrote a lot of really negative things. So I'm hoping that it's turned around a little bit, just like Walking Dead. But we'll see. Sometimes these shows, I think, like with Rick dying, quote unquote, in Walking Dead, a lot of people were worried the show wouldn't be able to handle it without him, but it's so far doing a really good job. Vikings, on the other hand, without Ragnar, is just I don't know if if it can keep the wind in its sails. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale. Finally got into that.
That is a good show. And by good, I mean like horrifying to watch, but
Done.
very well done.
Yeah, it's super horrifying to watch. I kind of dread watching it when we watch it, but
I can't imagine binging that. I've been watching that week to week, but like binging that would just be like mentally draining.
yeah. Well, we've been also watching The Good Place and Norseman. Uh,
That's a good compensation.
yeah. There's just so much. There's so many shows out there. It's hard to keep up with all of them. Or it's hard to keep up
Yeah.
with even a small fraction of them, let alone the games. You know.
Not this fall, yeah,
Uh,
especially.
I mean, at least
But
there's not
I
treats
just
and
wish
big
these
releases.
releases were spread out more. It's
Oh, I know.
killing me.
Yeah.
But this winter slash spring is going to be nuts too because there's like Anthem and the Division 2 and like Crackdown 3.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if that's worth playing. But there's a lot of stuff coming out then too. This is just a really big year in general
We still have
for games.
Smash Brothers too, right?
Oh God,
That's
yeah.
gonna be
I want to play Let's Go Pokemon, but I haven't had time.
yeah.
I should have downloaded that and took that on the plane, but
Yeah.
too many games, man.
Yeah,
Too many.
tough. It's tough is like you want to play them all. You want to play all these big releases so that you can have something to say about them, but it's pretty tough. Like, but if you don't play them, if you don't at least play a little bit of them, then you're kind of out of the loop, and you kind
Yeah,
of
exactly. It's like, oh, well, I'll just wait for summer when there's nothing out. It's like, yeah, but then you're like, for us, we're like writing about games like 8 months after they were popular,
yeah,
and then like, what's the point of that?
you've lost that window. I keep finding
Yeah,
myself starting. This is the other problem I've been having lately. Is there'll be a game that'll come out like or Destiny 2 Forsaken will come out, and I'll have like something I want to write about it. But then, like, I have so many other things I'm writing or working on that piece gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then it's like, oh, okay, well now it's like too late. It's almost too late.
they fixed the problem I was complaining about.
And I keep doing that, which I need to stop and just like get focused or something. But
Yeah.
it's just sometimes you just get
Yeah,
overwhelmed.
that's why I've been like, I mean, I've been rushing a little bit. Like, I probably only put 25 something hours into Fallout 76 before I did my like 10 things guide. And like, I was like far away from the end game, but I had played so much in a short window. I was still getting trophies where it's like, you're ahead of like 98% of people. And I'm like, all right, well, that's
Yeah,
good enough for me. And I probably have no more stuff that can help people. So like, normally I'd wait till like, okay, I'm done with 80 hours. Like, I'm going to, just finish this. And like, I did that with Red Dead too. Like, I had to. Just because it's minimum 70-hour completion time.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
with that in mind, I suppose we'll probably move on to doing more video game podcasts in the next.
yeah, we did like a quarter of a video game podcast just now.
Yeah,
So
pretty much. Going forward because we won't have a show that we're both watching at the same time. Really, at this point, I mean, I'm pretty much dropped out completely from the Arrowverse stuff.
I am for now.
Yeah, I don't even know if I could catch up. I might have to just pick like Legends and catch up on that because everyone tells me that's the best.
Yeah,
Um, I admit I kind of miss like Oliver Queen and Barry Allen and stuff, but I sure don't miss all this stupid melodrama soap opera bullshit that those shows.
They're still too long, man. All these CW shows, like they're 22 episode
Yeah,
seasons or like 18 at minimum, and
crossovers
it's
and
too much. Just do like 10 episode seasons, 12 episode seasons. That's all you need.
even that would be hard with so many shows that are linked
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
I mean, on Netflix, they're canceling the Marvel shows because it's too much. I mean, I
yeah.
guarantee you it's just too much for people to keep up with, and that's one big reason that the ones that are underperforming are getting canned because it's not like they had one or two Marvel shows. They have what, five or something, 4 or 5?
5, yeah.
It's too much. No one can.
Yeah. Well, I think Disney's probably going to adopt some of them in their
Yeah, maybe.
new streaming thing that I'm going to be forced to subscribe to, but
I think that Disney will focus on less grimdark and more.
well, they're doing
Scary.
like a Loki show, like
Oh wow.
I think a Hawkeye show. I'm not sure. I thought they were doing some, or no, it's like a Scarlet Witch Vision show.
Huh. Okay.
So they're doing like some of their heavy hitters in like TV form. You know what I really want to watch is that DC Titans show. I've heard like that's like actually awesome, but it's on the stupid DC streaming thing, and like I don't want to buy a whole streaming service just for one show.
You know
So
what's really bad is I subscribed to that. I did like the 7-day free trial, and I was going to try it
yeah,
out, and I never got around
then you
to it.
forgot.
So I
And
just have that shit
you're
hanging there, and I'm like,
that's funny.
like stupid Star Trek Discovery, which I actually enjoy that show, but it's on
Yeah,
CBS, and you have to. So I just subscribe to it until the show's over, and then I try to remember to unsubscribe.
I just like buy the season, like the one season I want to watch on Amazon for like
Yeah,
$10 or
that's the way
whatever.
to do it.
That's probably what I'll do with Titans if that's even an option.
We could do a whole podcast on the proliferation of streaming subscription services and how
Yeah, God.
absolutely detrimental that's going to be to.
It's not even bad yet.
Not
Like
bad.
people think it's bad now with like Hulu and Netflix and like whatever, but it's gonna get way worse.
And I think what we're going to see is we're going to see this widespread proliferation of all these different streaming services, and then it's not going to be sustainable, and ultimately we will have a few that come out on top and a few that.
Yeah, I think Hulu's on the way out. I think they're losing a lot of money. Even Netflix is like they're huge, but they're really overextending themselves these days.
There's too much Netflix original stuff. There's just too much.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I go on there now and it's like everything is a branded Netflix original and nothing has star ratings, so I have no idea what's good. So I'm just like randomly Googling shows I've never heard of and
it's bad.
like
The lack of star ratings, I understand why they did it from a business perspective, but for a consumer, it's not good. It's not good at all. And boy, when I write the net what's coming to Netflix list every month, and it's just amazing how many Netflix originals are coming out, and I have no idea what
yeah.
half of them are.
Well, and they're getting a lot less licensed content. So, and that's another reason like those shows went away was because the Marvel shows were like on a license, like lended essentially to Netflix, not like something Netflix owned outright. So they were paying like a crap ton of money for like no ownership rights essentially. So
Well, I think things like CBS that is an absolute in DC. These are absurd decisions because yeah, Disney can do it because Disney has a ton of content and a lot of money,
yeah,
and a lot of IP that people are going to really enjoy. But honestly, you can't build a streaming service off of a Star Trek show. I mean,
Young Sheldon,
it's, you can't
Good
build
Wife spinoff. I
yeah,
don't know.
you can't build a streaming service off of a tight DC show either. Like
Yeah,
you can't do it. It's
yeah.
not going to happen, and it's just going to be annoying. It's going to hurt potentially good shows that deserve to be on TV or on an established streaming service like Netflix or Hulu. I mean,
See, I agree, but like I made a huge fuss about this, like when Star Trek Discovery came out. Like I'm like, oh, this is a huge mistake, and like blah blah blah. But then I don't know, like it seemed to do really well anyway, and they like instantly greenlit a second season. They're like, oh, this is such a big hit for us, like blah blah blah. Like we got all these subscriptions. I'm like, well, shit, maybe it is working a little bit. I don't know.
maybe they should be
It's
doing
annoying.
like AMC has the AMC Premiere, right?
Mhm.
And basically, their shows are still on TV, traditional TV, but you can subscribe to AMC Premiere and sometimes watch them early, watch them without commercials, and it's like $5 a month. So then, like,
Yeah.
consumers have choice. I'm praising AMC. I never thought that they no, but I think that's a better method than like completely keeping Star Trek Discovery off of television. You know, like where they would certainly get a bigger audience if they had both options. I feel like maybe not, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the way that it's actually going to shake out. But I don't look forward to having 10 different $7 a month or more.
Yeah, no, I'm already at too many. I have Amazon Prime, I have
Hmm.
Netflix, I have Hulu, I have HBO,
Yep.
which is technically one now, kind of.
Yep. And also like things like Spotify and Xbox Live and PS Plus and on and on and on and on and on. I mean, how many like little $10 a month things can you rack up before
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like economically not viable? I don't know. It's for, I mean, especially for,
Well, yeah, it's just a cable bill. I mean, like
yeah.
it's all gonna add up to that much if it isn't already.
Well, and then, and then also a lot of people have cable still. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's a mess. Well, anyways, we will be back with Walking Dead in a few weeks, and
February 10th, I think.
something like that. Um, and in the meantime, hopefully get some of these video game podcasts out. So thanks.
Sounds good.
Peace.